My brother, a top-tier omega, got his heart broken by a real scumbag of an alpha. When I found the guy, I immediately released my pheromones. Overwhelmed by my Enigma scent, he curled up in agony. I leaned in. Get how an omega feels now. You ever gonna pull that crap again? The handsome alpha's face was flushed, tears streaming down his cheeks. He moved his lips and said in a hoarse voice, Okay, what? It hurts? I scoffed. You brought this on yourself, didn't you? His eyes were unfocused, his voice barely a rasp, but he was still trying to finish his sentence. Feels so good. The moment I walked in, I saw my parents hovering by Julian's door. They were sighing, their faces etched with worry. Mom? Dad? I called out. What's wrong with Julian? Your brother, they exchanged a look. He seems really upset. He locked himself in his room yesterday and hasn't come out. My dad's face was red with anger. That bastard alpha must have hurt him. The bedroom door was shut tight, but faint, sad pheromones seeped out from under it. My brother is the only omega in the family, and we've coddled him his whole life. When he told us he'd met an alpha he really clicked with, our whole family was on edge, terrified he'd get played. Julian just blew it off, thinking we were overreacting. But our worst fears had come true. I clenched my jaw, grinding my back teeth. That alpha's name was Alex, right? The club was noisy, the lights flashing and chaotic. A mix of different pheromones hung in the air, making my head spin. I suppressed my own scent, pinching the bridge of my nose as I pushed deeper into the crowd. I spotted the guy Julian had mentioned at the bar. Alex was tall, and with his looks and build, he stood out easily. He was leaning against the bar surrounded by a handful of omegas, flirting with them like he didn't have a care in the world. My fists clenched at my sides. I fought the urge to punch him square in the face as I walked over. The moment Alex saw me, his eyes lit up. He stepped away from the omegas and came right up to me. Beta? Alex took a sniff. He was dressed casually, his shirt unbuttoned low. From this angle, I had a clear view of the defined lines of his chest. No matter how you looked at it, he seemed like some kind of slacker who drifted from place to place. I sized him up and gave a sullen grunt in response. You're handsome, Alex said, not holding back the compliment. This one's on me. I didn't turn him down. Thanks. While I was studying him, Alex was checking me out too. How tall are you? 6 feet 4 inches. Damn. First time I've seen a beta taller than me. It's late. Don't you have a partner to get back to? I started probing. If I had a partner, I wouldn't be here, Alex said, his voice a little floaty. He seemed a bit drunk. You don't, huh? I nodded, then pulled out a pack of cigarettes and offered him one. Want to step outside for a smoke? Sure. Alex didn't suspect a thing. We went out the back door into a small alley, and he didn't even flinch when I threw an arm over his shoulder. Got plans later? Want to head to a hotel? Alex choked, sobering up instantly. Huh? He stammered. Isn't that a little fast? Fast? Yeah, I mean, no matter how eager you are, shouldn't we get to know each other first? You think so? Alex realized something was wrong and started to back away. I grabbed him by the collar and yanked him back. You didn't think it was too fast when you were messing with omegas, did you? Wait, what are you talking about? Is this some kind of misunderstanding? Alex's smile froze on his face. He tried to pry my hand off, but it wouldn't budge. Are all betas this strong now? Seeing the panic spread across his face, I couldn't help but laugh. A thick, overwhelming wave of pheromones instantly enveloped him. Sorry, I'm not a beta. I'm an enigma, the kind that can mark alphas. Enigma. The room was locked, and I let my pheromones flood the space without restraint. Within seconds, the thick scent filled every corner. Alex covered his nose and mouth, his face twisting in disgust. He was clearly repulsed by the smell. He tried to release his own pheromones to fight back against my pressure. But it didn't take long for him to lose. The overwhelming scent even made his own gland ache with pain. Alex clutched the back of his neck, trying to escape the room. Are you insane? Get out of my way. He kept pounding on me, trying to shove me away from the door. But soon, Alex's strength began to fail him. The pain from my powerful pheromones faded, replaced by a strange numbness that spread through his body, making his legs tremble. Alex lifted his arm and threw a punch at me, but his fist was weak, completely lacking any force. He was forced back a few steps, his body becoming unsteady. Alex leaned against the wall, trying to put as much distance between us as possible. I strode forward and caught up to him in 2 steps. I tossed Alex onto the bed. The mattress was soft and he bounced twice. He tried to push himself up but found his limbs wouldn't obey. The Enigma pheromones, several times stronger than an alpha's, were still invading his body, making his consciousness blur. Alex broke out in a cold sweat, terrified. He frantically tried to remember who he'd been in contact with recently. They were all sweet omegas. He hadn't pissed off anyone this terrifying, had he? But whether Alex had or not, whether he remembered or not, his current situation proved one thing. He was in trouble. Big trouble. Alex looked up, ready to make one last argument. I walked over and slammed my hand on the back of his neck, pushing his face back into the bedding. His voice was muffled, reduced to incoherent groans. You like to play, don't you? I ramped up the concentration of my pheromones. Then I'll play with you all night long. Enigmas are a rare 4th gender. Their pheromones are more powerful than an alpha's and can resist the influence of an omega's heat. But they're also more prone to losing control. Ever since I presented, I've had to control my pheromones every single day. Today was the first time I'd ever released them at this concentration. Alex lay limp on the bed, his clothes pulled tight against his body, revealing the full outline of his muscles. He really was a prime alpha, broad shoulders, narrow waist, long legs with well-defined, powerful muscles. Too bad he was a piece of trash. My eyes roamed over Alex's body. He whimpered non-stop, his own resistant pheromones weakening until only a faint scent lingered in the air. Alex was like a drowning fish, gasping desperately for air. His mind was foggy, and he felt like he could suffocate in my scent at any moment. But as the overwhelming pressure intensified, Alex started to feel something different. His body gave a sudden jolt, and he curled up on the bed, motionless. A few seconds later, he looked down toward the source of the strange sensation. A dark, wet patch had spread across the bedsheets. Alex was stunned. But soon, the pleasure of my pheromones pulled him back under. I brought a chair over, placed it against the wall, and sat down, coldly watching Alex's agonizing struggle. From this angle, I had a perfect view of the bed. I could observe every change in his expression, every twitch, every gasp. This concentration of Enigma pheromones wouldn't cause any real harm to an alpha like Alex, but it would keep his gland under constant pressure, causing pain and a variety of other reactions. I much preferred this clean method of dealing with him over getting my hands dirty. At some point, Alex's pheromones drifted over to me. There was no aggression in them. They wrapped around my ankles, soft and gentle. I clicked my tongue. He still had the nerve to provoke me at a time like this. I cranked up my pheromones again, sending a massive wave crashing over him. At first, Alex resisted fiercely, but as the minutes ticked by, his movements grew smaller. Finally, he just curled up on the bed, rubbing against it weakly, his voice completely raw. "How's that?" I asked. "Do you get how an omega feels now? Being overpowered by pheromones, you understand it now, don't you? You ever gonna pull that crap again?" Alex didn't answer. "Hey, scumbag, I'm talking to you," I called out again. This time, Alex moved. He slowly rolled over and looked up at me. His face was flushed, his cheeks smeared with tears. He moved his lips and said in a hoarse voice, Okay, what? It hurts?" I scoffed. "You brought this on yourself, didn't you? Why don't you think about how much pain you caused all those omegas you tricked?" Alex's eyes were unfocused, his voice barely a rasp, but he was still trying to finish his sentence. "Feels so good." Alex's body went limp again and again, completely lost in the sensation, unable to pull himself out. Watching him, I grew more and more agitated and suppressed him with even stronger pheromones. But his scent didn't dissipate. The light, pleasant aroma lingered around me, pulling me back from the brink of losing control. Realizing it was Alex's scent, I snorted, eased up on the pressure, and moved forward to bite his gland from behind. A huge surge of my pheromones flooded into him, aggressively taking over his gland. I had given Alex a temporary mark. It wouldn't last long, but it would be enough to keep him in line for a while. He trembled, speechless, fresh tears welling up in his eyes. I turned on the air purifier, and the concentration of pheromones in the room dropped rapidly. Alex gradually came to his senses. He sat up in bed, the corners of his eyes red and still holding a couple of tears. His face was blank, and he looked a little dazed. Lying there on the bed had left his clothes a mess, but the most noticeable thing was the dark stain on his pants. Alex himself didn't seem to have noticed. He just sat there, zoned out. I shot him a disgusted look. "If I ever catch you messing with omegas again, I'll kill you." Alex flinched. "Remember Julian? He liked you so much, and you just threw him away." I pulled the empty cigarette pack from my pocket and threw it at his head. "Get lost, and don't let me see you anywhere near him again. Got it?" His head snapped to the side as the pack bounced off his hair. Alex seemed to finally come back to reality. He looked at me, his brow furrowed slightly. "Threw him away? What, you want to deny it?" Alex shook his head. "But we never even dated." I rushed home in a panic. Julian was in his room playing video games, his long fingers flying across the controller. The room was dim, and the faint scent of a recent rut still lingered in the air. "I never said that. Mom and Dad must have misunderstood again. Alex is totally my type, so I confessed to him and asked if he wanted to take things further. He turned me down flat, said things were moving too fast for him. I was getting close to my heat back then, so I was definitely being a little impulsive. But you know me, Leo. Your brother? A charming omega like me? Who's ever turned me down before?" Of course I was bummed out. That's why I was hiding in my room. I put my head in my hand and sighed. Julian looked over. "Mom and Dad said you went to find him last night? You didn't do anything bad, did you? Like, threaten him or something?" Remembering how I'd relentlessly hammered him with my pheromones, I broke out in a cold sweat. "Why, of course not, Julian. We live in a civilized society." "Good." Julian looked relieved and went back to his game. "That Alpha is pretty cute. Really innocent. Way better than all those other alpha holes with their big egos." I got Alex's work address from Julian. The next day, I showed up right around noon. The office was quiet, and I spotted Alex immediately. He was discussing work with a colleague. Noticing my gaze, Alex glanced in my direction. That look sent a shiver down my spine. Thankfully, his eyes quickly returned to the document in front of him. I started watching Alex secretly. He was wearing a suit, a completely different image from the guy at the bar. The Alex at the bar was laid back, a little bit of a slacker. The Alex at work was sharp and capable. The silver-rimmed glasses perched on his nose gave his face a cool, detached air. I raised a hand to rub my own itching gland. Only after he finished his work did Alex walk over to me. The temporary mark on him hadn't faded, and he was still radiating my pheromones, which even his scent-masking cologne couldn't completely cover. Alex didn't seem bothered by it. "Looking for me?" "Yeah." After that brief exchange, we fell into silence. To break the awkwardness, I spoke up. "You actually have a job." "Alex, is that a compliment?" He glanced at his watch and led me to an empty conference room. "So, what's up?" Talking to this cold, professional version of Alex made me surprisingly nervous. "I misunderstood the other day. I wanted to apologize. I'm sorry. I didn't get the full story before I acted, and I hurt you. I'll make it up to you." Alex's expression was neutral. He stared at me unblinkingly through his glasses. I continued, "What do you want? Money? A watch? A car? A house?" Alex's answer was completely off topic. "Are you seeing anyone?" "No." "Are you about to start seeing anyone?" "No." "Do you have a crush on anyone?" "No." Alex interrogated me, one question after another. After getting negatives for everything, he nodded, satisfied. He said, "Then let's give us a try." I froze. "Are you insane? Alex's brow furrowed. Didn't you just say you'd do anything? You're an enigma, right? This is my first time meeting one. Felt really good the other day. Our pheromones are a great match. So I want to give us a try. I ignored whatever else Alex was saying and just transferred a large sum of money to his account. But that evening, the money was returned to me in cash. Alex was standing at my door, holding a briefcase full of bills, and greeted me casually. Hey. Alex found my room and sat down in a chair like he owned the place. I rubbed my temples, a headache already starting. How did you find me? Julian told me. My brother? Alex said in a lazy tone. Your brother also said that if you tried to kick me out, I should call him. The words to throw him out died in my throat. He leaned back against the cushion as if he were in his own home, twirling his glasses on his finger and occasionally popping a piece of fruit from the bowl on the table. He'd unbuttoned his shirt a few notches, leaving his collarbone exposed. Alex's pheromones spread through the room, hovering around me, teasingly close. The jerk deliberately brushed his scent against the inside of my wrist. By the time I noticed, he'd already pulled back with lightning speed, then put on an innocent smile like nothing had happened. What else did you tell my brother? Just what happened that day. Everything? Alex nodded, then shook his head. I also told him I like you and want to pursue you. The headache I just managed to soothe came roaring back. What did my brother say? Julian wished me luck and told you to be a good host. Sensing my displeasure, Alex tried to placate me with his pheromones. They cautiously drifted toward me, circling around me. Alex had suppressed the innate pressure and aggression of his alpha scent, leaving only a light, pleasant aroma in the room. I smelled a lot of alpha pheromones. Most of them were acrid, carrying an uncomfortable, invasive feeling. While they didn't really affect an enigma, I still disliked them. In comparison, Alex's pheromones were soft and calm, much more pleasant to be around. My fingers twitched. I instinctively took a step back, putting more distance between us. My whole body felt hot, and my throat tightened the moment I smelled his scent. It was a sign I was going into a rut. As a fourth gender, I was rarely affected by others' pheromones. Even if an omega in full heat was right in front of me, I could calmly get them to a hospital without breaking a sweat. This was the first time I'd almost been pushed into a rut by someone's scent. Get your pheromones under control. Alex looked a little disappointed. You hate my scent that much? I ignored him. Wait here. I'm gonna make a couple of dishes. With that, I practically fled the room. While Alex sat at the dining table ready to eat, I was in the kitchen, a blur of motion with the spatula. His eyes lit up when he saw the platters of meat. After a quick thank you, Alex dug in without hesitation. His table manners were terrible. After just a few bites, his pristine white shirt was already stained with grease. I found myself frowning repeatedly. No one's gonna steal it from you. Can't you wipe your mouth? There are napkins right there. I'll wipe it when I'm done. Watching Alex's messy eating, my brow never once relaxed. How could someone so clean and professional at work turn into such a slob at home? Knowing he'd made a mess, Alex offered to help clear the table after he finished. As he moved, I saw the deep bite mark on his gland. Hey, I called out. Just leave it. Come here, let me put some ointment on that. Alex obediently followed me, exposing his vulnerable gland. The bite mark was red and scabbed over. My Enigma pheromones had completely overpowered his own and were radiating outwards. As he got closer, his alpha scent became more distinct. My throat bobbed, and my canines started to itch. I licked them, fighting down the urge to bury my face in his neck and inhale deeply, and instead grabbed a cotton ball from the first aid kit. I dabbed it with iodine and pressed it to the mark. The sting made Alex flinch. He tried to move forward, but I pulled him back. Sorry. Alex shook his head. He looked at me, then suddenly reached out. I froze on the spot. Alex's hand didn't stop. As if he'd gotten addicted, he started squeezing and kneading. I gritted my teeth. Any guilt I just felt vanishing completely. What are you doing? Alex smiled innocently. Just seeing what the difference is between an Enigma and an Alpha. Alex felt around carefully. Seems like you're More impressive than me? You really are the fourth gender. Not only are your pheromones stronger than an alpha's, but you're also so gifted. I just wonder if you're all show and no-go. Can I just undo? A vein throbbed on my forehead. I fought the urge to punch him in the face. Alex, are you asking for? Before I could finish, Alex cut me off. Yeah. It's exactly what you think. I shut my mouth. No matter what I did, I couldn't get Alex to leave. He clung to the leg of a table like he'd grown roots into my floor. You said you'd make it up to me, right? I've decided what I want. My eyelid twitched in annoyance, and my pheromones started to get agitated. Spit it out. I want you to drive me to and from work every day and have dinner with me sometimes. I don't have time for your games. I'm not playing games. He held up a finger and wagged it in front of my face. 1 month. If you still don't feel anything for me after that, I'll never bother you again. Alex looked like he was joking, but his eyes held a hint of seriousness. I couldn't tell if he was messing with me or not. Tired of arguing, I just gave in. Fine. It's a deal. After that, I started driving Alex to and from work. He lived in the next apartment complex over, and his company was on my route, so it didn't really add much time to my commute. It didn't take long for me to realize that Alex was just faking being a functional adult. He looked clean and handsome on the outside, but his apartment was a disaster, and he was constantly full of crap. He could twist any conversation we had into something dirty, and he was so irritating I wanted to punch him. More than once, I was tempted to teach him a lesson with my pheromones like I did before. I hauled Alex out of bed and tossed him onto a mountain of clothes. Get dressed. You have to be at work in an hour, don't you know that? Alex opened his eyes and slowly rummaged through the pile for today's outfit. Looking at the overflowing trash can and the messy bed, my temple throbbed. Were you raised by cockroaches? I started cleaning up his room. The moment I lifted his blanket, a wave of his pheromones hit me. It sent a sharp pain through my gland, and a strange impulse surged through me. Ever since I'd fully unleashed my pheromones that one time, it had become harder to control them. It was especially intense when I was around Alex. When I finished cleaning and turned around, Alex was already grabbing his bag, ready to head out. He was squinting, still looking half asleep. His shirt was buttoned all wrong, completely misaligned. Alex didn't seem to notice anything amiss and just yawned at the door. How could an alpha live like this? I covered my face with my hand and let out a heavy sigh. I can't believe you. I spun Alex around and started fixing his buttons. Weren't you all put together at the office last time? Are you doing this on purpose just to give me more work? Alex tilted his head. No, I usually straighten up in the cafe restroom while I wait for my coffee. Right now, I'm just Alex yawned. So tired. Maybe because he wasn't fully awake, his pheromones were leaking out constantly. Even though he tried to control them, some still escaped from his gland. After all these days, my scent on him had faded to the point where it was barely detectable. For some reason, this pissed me off, and my movements became rough as I fixed his shirt. Alex didn't get mad, even as I jerked him around. He just occasionally muttered things. Enigmas are so strong. Just as I finished the last button, Alex suddenly reached out, cupped my chin, and gave me a kiss. His lips were soft and warm, and his pheromones clung to my skin where we touched. Thanks. Let's go now. I still want to grab a coffee. I'm so sleepy. With that, Alex walked out the door, leaving me frozen in the entryway. The pheromones I had just managed to calm down went wild again. The pain in my gland was unbearable as the built-up pheromones churned inside me. Unmated enigmas have to go to the hospital periodically to release their pheromones. If they build up for too long without release, it not only damages the gland but can also erode an enigma's sanity, turning them into animals driven purely by instinct. But I had just released them on Alex a short while ago. I pulled a suppressor from my pocket. The needle pierced my skin, and the cool liquid flowed through my veins, slowly soothing the heat. It was a long time before I finally moved, heading in the direction Alex had gone. With coffee in hand, Alex was much more awake. He smelled the agitated pheromones in the car. Are you going into a rut? I didn't answer. Alex didn't press, just continued talking to himself. How do enigmas usually handle their ruts? With an alpha or an omega? My hands tightened on the steering wheel. What about you? How do you usually handle your ruts? Just pick one from your little group of omegas? The thought of Alex entangled with different omegas lit a fire in my chest, and my pheromones escaped my control. Overwhelmed by my scent, Alex couldn't even drink his coffee. He knew he couldn't compete with an enigma's pheromones, so he released his own in a gesture of goodwill. Nah, I usually just use suppressors. I paused. Suppressors? But you're always surrounded by omegas. Alex shrugged. Just because I'm around omegas doesn't mean I have to sleep with them. I was getting to know them to find the most compatible pheromone match. A smile I couldn't suppress spread across my face. Alphas, omegas, and even enigmas are all just animals controlled by pheromones at the end of the day. So I want to find the scent that's most compatible with mine. What do they call that online, a fated pair? I feel like your pheromones and mine are a match. Probably over 90% compatible? But don't feel pressured. Even if you're not interested, I won't force you. The car stopped in front of Alex's office building. He put on his glasses. That cool, aloof vibe immediately returned, making me glance at him again and again. Alex's fingers rested on the car door handle, but he didn't push it. Instead, he turned to look at me. It would be my first time. You don't have to tell me that. Alex's mouth drooped in disappointment. I thought you'd be excited. After Alex left, the concentration of pheromones in the car started to rise. The pain from my gland was becoming unbearable. I rested my forehead on the steering wheel and let out a deep sigh. Of course, it wasn't just my gland that was aching. I spent most of the morning trying to calm my pheromones. My phone buzzed twice in my pocket. Ding ding. It was Alex. He sometimes messaged me during his lunch break. I have a question. If an E and an A get together, is the A on top or the E on top? I licked my dry lips, my mind filled with images of Alex's toned waist and firm muscles hidden beneath his clothes. I replied, I don't know. Alex didn't message me back. My glands started to ache again. The pain was getting stronger each time, making it hard for me to think clearly. A colleague, affected by my pheromones, covered his nose and mouth and practically fled the smoking lounge. I pulled out a backup suppressor and injected myself. The last time this happened was back in college. I had gone into my presentation phase without any warning. My uncontrollable Enigma pheromones had triggered early ruts and heats in a lot of omegas and alphas. It took me a long time to learn how to control my Enigma scent. The hospital became a weekly destination for me, and I always kept at least 5 suppressors in my bag. Fortunately, after I got through my presentation, I never lost control like that again. But half an hour passed, and the suppressor had barely any effect. I sighed. That afternoon, I went to the hospital. My doctor was already waiting for me in his office, wearing a pheromone-blocking suit. We can't keep using medication like before. The doctor pressed on my gland, applying light pressure. You've built up a resistance. A dose that used to take 3 shots now requires 8 or more. If this continues, it's going to damage your gland. For now, go to the isolation room and release some pheromones. 30 minutes later, I left the isolation room. The needle pricked my forearm, the slight sting helping to clear my head a little. So what should I do now? How about you try dating someone? Instantly, Alex's face popped into my head. I got to Alex's office building just before he got off work. The moment he got in the car, a faint mix of pheromones filled the space. Besides his own scent, there was a cocktail of various omega scents. Some were strong, some faint. The smell made me frown. Alex took off his glasses and started pulling at his tie. After a few tugs, he had his collar wide open. He let out a breath, as if he was finally able to relax. My nostrils flared, and I couldn't help but lean closer to him. Alex quickly noticed my small movement. He smirked and pressed a hand to the back of my head. With a little pressure, Alex pushed my face into his chest. If you want a sniff, just take one. Why be so sneaky about it? As he spoke, he released a large wave of his pheromones. My agitated mood gradually calmed. When I finally spoke, my voice was a little hoarse. Are you like this with everyone? What? The pheromones. When other people need them, do you do this for them too? Of course not. Alex smiled. Only for you. It didn't take long after taking off his glasses for Alex's true nature to return. Leo, how about I become your sugar baby? You can just stay home every day and wait for me to get off work. Enigma pheromones smell so good. I think I'm about to go into a rut. Did you see it? My reaction. So you're like that too. I shot Alex a sideways glance. Shut up. If he kept talking, neither of us was going home tonight. Alex never went to the club again. But his luck with omegas was still incredible. Every day he was surrounded by them. I watched them from a distance. Alex kept a respectful distance from the omegas, answered every question with a smile, and spoke in a gentle tone. When some of the omegas were too short, he would even bend down to listen to them. I could sort of understand why he was so popular with them. When Alex finally walked over to me, the omegas still hadn't left. A wave of sweet floral and fruity scents washed over me, making my brow furrow. The emotions in those pheromones were obvious. Flattery, seduction, invitation. Aside from the time I suppressed Alex, this was the first time I had ever used my pheromones to drive someone away. The omegas' faces visibly soured. They said their goodbyes to Alex and left quickly. Alex offered an explanation. I didn't do anything. Don't worry. Right now, I'm only thinking about you. I immediately latched onto the one word that bothered me. Right now? Did that mean he wouldn't be thinking about me later? Alex didn't realize the problem with what he'd just said. He kicked off his shoes and propped his feet up on the edge of his seat. The feeling of displeasure grew stronger, accompanied by a strange fluttering in my chest that lasted for a good half hour. I ground my back teeth. Noticing something was off, Alex turned to me and asked, "What's wrong? Right now?" I said, repeating his words. Alex thought for a moment, then it clicked. Forever and always. Forever and ever. He released soothing pheromones, which intertwined with mine. The ache in my gland began to subside. An unbelievable thought appeared in my mind. A message from Alex appeared on my screen. Company dinner tonight, don't need to pick me up. It was the first time Alex had told me to go straight home after work. I didn't overthink it and drove home. The minutes ticked by. My phone was silent, the notification bar showing nothing but ads. I grew increasingly anxious, checking my phone every few seconds. Alex hadn't contacted me at all since that one message. I ran a frustrated hand through my hair. At 9 o'clock, I couldn't take it anymore and sent Alex a message. Dinner over? Need a ride home? Alex didn't reply. At 10:30, I got dressed and left the house. Since I didn't know where he was, I could only wait for him downstairs at his apartment building. At midnight, a group of people appeared in the distance. As they got closer, their faces became clearer. 3 people. I took a sniff. Besides Alex, there was another alpha and an omega. I blocked their path and snatched a completely wasted Alex from their arms. The overwhelming stench of alcohol hit me, mixed with the sense of various unfamiliar omegas. It was nauseating. My sanity began to crumble under the assault of all those pheromones. Thanks, I can take him up from here. My pheromones started to leak out uncontrollably. The alpha in front of me took a step back. You're Alex's friend, we'll leave him to you, then. He drank a little too much tonight. The omega clearly had a thing for Alex and pushed against the pressure of my pheromones, trying to find a reason to stay. Maybe I should stay and help take care of him. You might not be able to manage on your own. I lifted Alex into my arms with one hand and casually straightened out his rumpled shirt. Only after doing all that did I turn to look at the omega. I'm sorry, what did you say? The omega opened his mouth, but in the end, just shook his head. And nothing. Thanks for your trouble. I threw Alex onto the bed. His already loose clothes were jostled by the impact and slid right off his side. My mark on him was long gone, not a single trace left. Looking at the drunken Alex, my anger flared. I leaned over him, planting my hands on either side of his body. My pheromones poured out, completely enveloping him. The sharp pain from his gland pulled him from his sleep. He opened his eyes and met my gaze. This is what you call a company dinner? A company dinner full of omegas? You were talking about forever just 2 days ago. Did a couple of meals make you forget? Alex gradually sobered up in the thick cloud of my pheromones. Once the needle-like pain subsided, a familiar sensation spread through his limbs. Alex felt good. He had no sense of urgency at all. Under the influence of alcohol and my Enigma pheromones, his explanation was slow and drawn out. I didn't know at first. It was only when I got there that I realized they'd invited a lot of omegas. Seeing Alex's smug grin, the tightness in my chest grew heavier. If I hadn't come today, would that omega have stayed the night at your place? Alex hesitated for a second, and in that 1 second, my sanity completely snapped. My pheromones spiraled out of control as I furiously reclaimed every inch of his body. I ripped away the clothes covering him and erased every last trace of the omega's lingering scents. Under the influence of my potent pheromones, Alex was pushed into an early rut. His own scent poured out of him, his alpha instincts screaming at him to possess the object of his desire right in front of him. I lost focus for a moment, and Alex flipped me over, pinning me down. He grabbed my wrists, his breath coming in heavy, ragged gasps. Every point of contact was scorching hot. I tried to struggle, but I couldn't break free. Sure enough, no matter how gentle his pheromones were or how dumb he acted, Alex was an alpha through and through. As natural-born leaders and dominators, almost no alpha would willingly submit to another. Alex leaned down and started biting at my neck. E's and A's are both dominant, so it's not impossible for the A to be on top, right? Alex's hand started to wander as he spoke. I'll be gentle. I laughed, my whole chest shaking. The next second, Alex was flipped back onto the bed. A searing heat pressed against his gland. I squeezed Alex's waist. With a waist like this, who did you think you were going to top? As the words left my mouth, my canines pierced his skin. An Enigma's mark, forever etched into Alex's gland. Alex's voice died in his throat. His eyes lost focus, and his grip on the bedsheets slackened. Gradually, Alex's pheromones faded, wrapping around me instead. He held out a trembling fist and opened it in front of me. His palm was slick with sweat, radiating a thick, concentrated wave of his own scent. Enigmas are even more amazing than they say online. Because of you, I went into an early rut. You have to take responsibility. At first, I didn't dare to be too rough. Not until Alex said, "Don't you know how durable alphas are?" From that moment on, things got out of control. I marked Alex over and over again. In the beginning, he could still manage a few cocky taunts. Later, all that was left were his breathless pants. When I woke up the next day, it was already noon. Alex was still asleep, his back to me, his skin covered in purple bruises. Everywhere I looked, I saw the marks I'd left during my loss of control last night. I covered my face in frustration, my fingers sliding past my ear to press against my gland. It was calm. The agitation and discomfort from the past few days were completely gone. Alex rolled over and threw an arm over me. He opened his eyes, his voice still groggy. Enigmas are incredible. Getting topped was totally worth it. That felt amazing. Alex snuggled closer, rubbing his face against my body. Who would have thought? Good to look at, good to touch, and good in bed. I grabbed his wrist and warned him in a low voice, "Don't start." Alex laughed. Don't underestimate an alpha's stamina. He pushed himself up and gave me an inviting look. One more time? Epilogue. I confessed to Alex before he could. Alex stared at the suit I was wearing. I've never really seen you in formal wear before. Yeah, I keep one at the office. I only change into it when I need to. Seeing how his eyes were glued to me, I decided to tease him. You like it? Want me to wear it tonight? Alex nodded without a shred of dignity. He grabbed me, his steps a little frantic. Then let's go back now. Wait, I haven't finished my confession. Watching the elaborately decorated scene disappear around the corner, I quickly stopped him. Alex snatched the ring box from my hand and slipped the ring onto his own finger. I accept. Then he gave me another kiss on the cheek. Okay, let's go, quick. Watching Alex's eager back, A smile I couldn't contain spread across my face. Honestly, you're 3 years older than me, how can you still be so? Alex didn't hear me. He just kept running ahead. I sped up, scooped him up into my arms, and carried him. Look at you, all worked up. It's not like I can fly away. Alex, if you don't hurry up, I'm going to. Hearing that, I started walking even faster than Alex had been.